Feel like we should have Dancing Dan on that music in the morning for some reason. Good morning. It's a Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. In for Dan Kuntz. Eric Granstrom with you for 2 more days as we wind our way through the work week. Hope you're having a good week so far, and we're crossing our fingers for a good night overnight last night for firefighters. I think it was. The winds died down, and we'll get you the complete latest information we have available on the Desert Canyon fire here this morning that grew to over 1,000 acres yesterday late afternoon. So details on that coming up. The forecast details also looking good for right now with no wind in the picture for the next day 2, but then by Saturday we're expecting more winds to come up. So we'll cross our fingers that the firefighters are able to gain some significant ground here over the next couple of days. But before we get to any of that, we start off with our look at the Valley View cameras provided by Sky-Fi Wireless Network and LocalTel. And oh my, wow, what a gorgeous shot this morning of the lush green in the foreground and the sleepy valley in the background as we're waking up for a Thursday, the 25th of July, 2019. Good morning, Wenatchee, from our cross cam this morning up on Wenatchee Heights. To camera 2 we go, and you can see a little smoke there in the valley. That is from the Desert Canyon fire. Are we looking at the Waterville camera here? Okay, that's the Waterville camera from Pine Canyon, up at the top of Pine Canyon, looking off to the north, and you can see the haze in the air there. Smoke has settled in the valley, and that's actually good news because that means the smoke has not been lifted out by winds, and we'll, again, talk more about that Desert Canyon fire coming up. That's camera 2. Camera 3, we will look from our Orondo Rock position, looking upstream on the Columbia River. As you can see just on the left-hand portion of the screen there, the metropolis of Orondo. And again, further up valley, you can see a little bit of that haze from the smoke created by, we not only have a fire burning in the Orondo area in Desert Canyon, but we also have some other fires that were started by the lightning storms that moved through a couple of days ago. Good morning, Orondo and Eniat. You can just see a little bit of Eniat across the river as well. To camera 4, we will look at, where are we here? Oh, Stamen Flats, okay. And again, you can see in the distance, we're up north of the fire now, looking back towards the south, and you see a little bit of the haze and smoke in the air this morning. The Columbia River in the foreground there, and a lovely morning there as well, and hopefully a lovely morning for firefighters. Thanks to Sky-Fi for providing us our Valley View cameras, as always, here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, as we take a look around north central Washington. As far as the weather is concerned from the National Weather Service, much better today. Sunny and, well, it says breezy there, but my forecast that I looked at said no winds really in the forecast. 92 the expected high today. Clear tonight to low of 64. Tomorrow we'll see sunny skies, and the hottest day of the week will definitely be tomorrow as we edge near the triple digits. 98 possibly for the high tomorrow. Now, extended forecast. Here we come with the winds coming back on Friday night, with the gusts to 26 miles an hour Friday night. So here's hoping that not only here, but across eastern Washington with these spot fires that are burning, that firefighters can gain an upper hand. The low Friday night getting down in the low 60s, 64 for the overnight low here for the Wenatchee area. On Saturday, we're looking at gusty winds again, with west winds 14 to 20 miles an hour. High Saturday of about 88 degrees. It'll warm up again on Sunday with 91. And as we look ahead, the extended forecast continuing with the sunny and hot weather as we wrap up July and get into August with highs in the 90s, nighttime lows in the 60s. By the way, our high yesterday for Wenatchee, actually cool. I had to check this 3 times. 79 was the high yesterday. That was much lower than the anticipated high. We did, of course, get those gusting winds that didn't help firefighters yesterday at the Desert Canyon fire. 61, our overnight low. That was in the morning hours this morning. Normally, we're at 89 for the high and 63 for the low. The record high for today was set in 1998 of 102 degrees. The record low back in 1966 was 52. Sun rose this morning at 5:30 and will set tonight at 8:44, again losing about 2 minutes of daylight officially per day here as we are past the summer solstice. That's a check of your forecast here on the NCW Life Channel. And again, the forecast is impertinent for the firefighting efforts. We will talk more about that coming up in our latest local news here on the NCW Life Channel. A lot to get to on the way, so we will take a break and do that. By the way, this portion of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley brought to you by Confluence Health, dedicated to providing you with safe, quality health care for everyone in North Central Washington. More of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with your latest local news on the way next.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
And a good morning to you. It is a Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz on this 25th day of July 2019 at 7 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at your latest local news this morning. And of course, our top news headline is in reference to a fire burning in Douglas County in the Orondo area, a little north of Orondo. It is called the Desert Canyon Fire. And we're going to put some cameras on that particular fire here this morning. The good news is, as it looks like, the winds died down overnight last night, and the fire not very active in the overnight hours, with just some smoke rising this morning. In fact, hardly to see any visible flames, but that was certainly not the case yesterday. The blaze, the largest of several that were sparked by lightning storms that went through the area on Tuesday evening. The state has mobilized a Type 3 incident management team to oversee the firefight. Latest information we have is from Ben Shearer, who's the PIO for the Southeast Washington Incident Management Team that has set up shop at the Orondo School. He tells us the fire grew to over 1,000 acres yesterday afternoon, fanned by strong gusty winds. Fire triggered level 3 evacuation notices for 2 homes, and level 1 advisories have been issued for the Allville area. Approximately 100 firefighters from the DNR, BLM, U.S. Forest Service, and Douglas County have been battling this blaze, which began Tuesday evening. Douglas County Fire Districts 1 and 4 and a state hand line team were brought in overnight to stay on the fire overnight and to try to keep it in its current footprint. Browns Canyon Road remains closed in Douglas County. Retardant drops were used earlier yesterday until the bombers were called away to battle a fire in Yakima County. 2 helicopters made bucket drops through the afternoon until flight hour maximums were reached. Firefighters were actually pulled back from the blaze at a point in the afternoon yesterday when the fire raced below Bonneville Power Administration lines, causing arcing conditions. The power lines also inhibited helicopter drops in front of the fire. Since then, BPA de-energized those lines as a safety precaution. Those near the fire who have animals that are concerned can move them if they wish to the NCW Fairgrounds up in Waterville. If you'd like to contact the Waterville Fairgrounds, you can do so at 745-8480. That's 745-8480 if you have animals that you'd like to move. Wednesday brought cooler temperatures, but of course those gusty winds and low relative humidity prompting concerns about possible new fire starts from the recent storms. 30 small wildfires are burning in national forest lands. U.S. Forest Service officials report crews are currently staffing wildfires from the Methow Valley all the way to Natchez, and with all wildfires reported Wednesday at under a half acre in size. The exception is the left-hand fire located 32 miles northwest of Yakima, which is currently 10 acres in size. Aerial reconnaissance will also be utilized over the coming days to detect wildfires in remote backcountry and wilderness areas. But good news this morning is that the winds calmed down overnight last night for the Desert Canyon fire. In fact, news correspondent Steve Hare is in Orondo this morning with the briefing that took place at 6 o'clock. He will have an update for us coming up a little bit later on. Be sure to watch our website at ncwlife.com as well as our Facebook page for latest breaking information as we're tapped in with the incident or the Type 3 incident management team here on the NCW Life channel. Well, Grant County Fire District 13 helped the Freitas City firefighters at a major commercial structure fire on Tuesday night. You see it here. The fire destroyed a large warehouse at the Barry Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership. Officials say in a Facebook post that crews arrived during the overnight hours to find the large storage building at the northeast corner of the property involved. Firefighters spent about 3 hours working on the fire and returned Wednesday morning to work on a hot spot. City fire officials are reportedly working with the National Weather Service to determine if lightning may have been the cause of the fire. It is still under investigation. Well, reported crimes in Chelan County were up 1% in 2018, according to the report by the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. There were 1,194 reports of crimes in 2018 compared to 1,182 in 2017. The increase came mostly in simple assault cases, which went from 221 in 2017 to 263 last year. Areas with fewer reported crimes included larceny, theft, and burglary. In Wenatchee, crime was up 6.4%, with aggravated assaults up 38 in 2017 to 66 in 2018. Larceny, thefts, and fraud also increased. There were 2,179 crimes reported in Wenatchee for the year. Of those, 1,040 were cleared, and the best clearance rate of cities of similar size in East Washington, by the way. Crime was up 5.4% in Douglas County, with burglary and stolen property crimes both increasing. Simple assault cases fell 12% in Douglas County. Crime fell by 1.2% in the city of East Wenatchee, with drops in burglaries and frauds. There were 844 total crimes reported in East Wenatchee in 2018. In other news this morning, Loretta Stover will address the opioid crisis in north central Washington at Wenatchee Rotary at noon today at the Red Lion Hotel. Stover, the executive director of the Center for Alcohol and Drug Treatment at Wenatchee, will speak on putting the health epidemic and opioid crisis into perspective. Opiate deaths have increased 77% in Washington state through the last several years, with heroin and other narcotics contributing to recent deaths in both Chelan and Douglas counties. The program will be open to healthcare providers, workers, police and safety officers, members of the public, and the media. Again, that's at noon today at the Red Lion. Well, Mission Ridge skiers are now offered access to several ski hills in 4 countries with one season pass ticket. Mission Ridge has joined the Powder Alliance for the 2019-20 winter season. Officials say the Powder Alliance is one of the world's most powerful reciprocal season pass programs, offering top-tier pass holders 3 days each at 19 premier winter destinations. Marketing Director Tony Hickok says the program offers pass holders up to 54 free days at some of the best ski resorts across the country, including Schweitzer in Idaho, Mount Hood Ski Bowl in Oregon, White Pass Bridger Bowl in Montana, and many others. The pass is also good for ski areas in Chile and Japan. Mission Ridge season pass holders will receive 3 days at all participating Powder Alliance resorts during non-holiday periods. Well, if you're into collectible cars, you have to see this morning's offering from NCW Life producer Caitlin Hedersheet. She takes a trip to the Lake Chelan to the hidden gem of car fanatics. Miller's Lake Chelan Auto Museum is on its 2nd season of operation with more than 70 vehicles. For locals Leo and Polly Miller, the museum is a way to share memories and bring families together.
Yeah, my name is Leo Miller and my wife is Polly, and been married for approximately 60 years, and we decided to open a museum.
A tugboat operator on Lake Chelan, Leo transitioned to a career in the orchard business and real estate in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Throughout his time, Leo and Polly were collecting cars from auctions and local purchases.
Paulie and I started collecting about 25 years ago. Cars, memorabilia, not so much that, but mostly cars. Spent a lot of time in Arizona. And at that time, we were always going to the auctions in the winter down there. And we were able to accumulate quite a few cars. And then where we were in Arizona, it worked out well because there was a lot of cars around. So,
With the help of his son Wade, his museum is gaining traction with visitors. Leo says they come from all over to share their memories.
I enjoy people. I enjoy their stories. I had a policeman, detective out of Spokane last weekend, and he brought somebody, I forget who was with him, and there was 2 or 3 of them, and they came through. Here he was back the next day with these 2 young boys. And he was a very interesting person, and you find him every day. Everybody has that story though. But a lot of them like the memorabilia. Last year we had around 700 people. This year I think we're already in the 400 and some, and we've only been open 3 weeks. We did have a boost from Austin Haley Club out of the Northwest in California, and they brought us approximately about 80 cars. Well, my favorite story is this red and white Pontiac, because Paulie and I had one when we were married. I had one 3 years prior. I bought it in Arizona and brought it home, and that's kind of one of my favorites, I think, but they all are.
The museum is more than just shiny cars. Leo features neon signs, memorabilia, and even a plane from a drug raid.
The airplane's a 172, and I bought it from the FBI up in Omak, and it was flown in from somewhere up in Canada, and they ran out of fuel, or couldn't get the fuel to work properly, and they had to land, and of course they were gone. It was probably approximately, they said maybe 10 million in it. So.
Jay Witherby, a well-known Chelan local and now fire commissioner, says Leo and Polly reached out to see if he could help them develop a plan to keep the car museum open for generations. Operating on donations only, Jay is hoping open the space for events.
I think Leo had mentioned earlier we did the Austin Healey Club for Cascade, from Vancouver to San Diego, had 160 people here, served them a traditional bangers and mash and English pub lunch, which they just loved, and it's neat because it really does create memories. Yeah, I think it's the most memorable meeting place you could ever possibly hope for. And we go out of our way to make sure that we provide all the services, make it one call, one stop. We can cover it all for you. And thus far it's been very successful, and we're looking to build on that. We want this to be around generations from now.
With more than 70 cars and more on the way, Jay says this museum is unique to North Central Washington.
I don't believe there's anything like this in Central Washington. There is a big car museum that everyone's aware of in Tacoma, and this is kind of our version of it, Central Washington version. But there's a lot to offer here, just under 20,000 square feet of cars and memorabilia and stories. We love to share it, but very, very unique. And for a meeting space, for a venue, you won't find another one like this.
Tomorrow on the NCW Life Evening News, we're going to take a look at a new addition coming to the museum. I'm Caitlin Hedersheet, NCW Life News.
Thank you much, Caitlin, for that report. And again, Steve Hare out this morning in Orondo getting the latest information on the Desert Canyon fire. We'll have that on our website as well as our Facebook page as we continue. And of course, another update in the evening news tonight, coming up with Grant Olson at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock here on the NCW Life channel, your local TV station. If you know of any news that's breaking, or you see a fire break out or something like that, you can get a hold of us a multitude of ways. You can email us directly at news@ncwlife.com. You can call us at 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. You can also reach out to us through our Facebook page. Just search NCWLIFE on Facebook, and hopefully you'll like us while we're there. Also, you can find out contact information for various producers as well as hosts on our website at ncwlife.com. Still to come on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley this morning, I forgot to preview our interview today. It's hard to believe we're already talking football, but let's see. Seahawks are back in training camp today, and high school football is just around the corner, and the need for officials does not go away We'll talk with Jerry Anderson with the Chelan County Football Officials Association coming up in the last half of the program today to talk about how you could be involved in local officiating. Also this morning, Kennel Cameos. We're going to meet Radar the Cat. So that's coming up after we do sports. Your obscure holiday of the day today for cooks. Stay tuned. And also, we'll check what happened on this day in history and celebrity birthdays and such. It's all right here for a Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Thanks for joining us. Sports news on the way next.
I told Mr. Nielsen about Simon. He's the best doctor because I like the medicines like he gives me.
He asks like more questions, and that's why I feel like he's more interested in the health. For me, it means a lot. That means he really cares about, about him.
I like you, Simon, and you're my best friend.
That's pretty much it. It's a great house, great neighborhood.
It's great. Sam's still getting used to the idea of moving.
Sam, you play basketball?
Yeah.
Let me show you something. Now I'm thinking, you put your hoop right here, and you even got enough room for a three-point line. One of the things I've noticed is that if you got a hoop in your driveway, you make friends real fast.
At Coldwell Banker Levine, our agents don't just understand real estate, they understand what home is all about.
21 minutes past the hour here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. A little chilly out there this morning with temperatures about 57 as we get you through a Thursday on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. In for Dan Kuntz, I'm Eric Granstrom with your latest local sports. The Wenatchee Apple Sox began the second half. Well, it's not really the second half of the season, but it's the post-All-Star break. Last night didn't go the way they wanted in Walla Walla. The voice of the Apple Sox, Joel Norman, has the story.
The Apple Sox dropped the series opener against the Walla Walla Sweets by a score of 7-4 on Wednesday night at Borleski Stadium. So it wasn't the start to the post-All-Star break schedule the Apple Sox would have liked for. They were trailing 2-0 going into the fourth inning. They scored 4 times in that frame, but could not hold on to the lead, allowing 4 runs to come across in the 7th and another one in the 8th inning. The Apple Sox will look to even up the series on Thursday when they take on the Sweets again at 6:35. With your Apple Sox update, I'm Joel Norman.
Thank you much, Joel. That Wenatchee, by the way, when it took the lead in that 4-run fourth inning, it was highlighted by an RBI double by Hunter Montgomery, RBI single by Cody Darcy, a sac fly for an RBI by Connor Kiefer, and a bases loaded walk to Johnny Sage. But the bullpen just couldn't hold on. Cameron Summer gave up 2 runs in the 7th, followed by Landon Shire surrendering 2 more runs in the 7th and 8th, eventually taking the loss. Johnny Sage, Blake Klassen, and Connor Kiefer each had 2 hits apiece for the Apple Sox. Wenatchee had 10 hits in the game, but stranded 12 runners on base. Seth Kuykendall will get the start for tonight. Walla Walla has not announced its starter for the game that starts at 6:35. Also in the West Coast League, as we open up the Les Schwab scoreboard from yesterday, Richie Setty's RBI walk-off single scored Brad Norton, and Kelowna topped Yakima Valley 9-8 in 10 innings. Matt Volsky went 3 for 4 at the plate for the Falcons, driving in 2 runs. Corvallis scored 2 runs in the top of the 12th on an error by Portland shortstop, and the Knights got the 2-0 win. It was a night for pitchers. The combined 10 hurlers for both teams struck out a total of 24 batters in the game. Brooks Lee 3 for 5 at the plate for Corvallis. Also, non-league play last night. The Northwest Star Academy scored 2 in the top of the 8th and beat Ridgefield 3-2. Raptors were held to 2 runs on 7 hits by the Academy's 3 pitchers. Also, Alex Garcia led off the 8th with a solo home run, and Port Angeles added 2 more insurance runs to beat the Redmond Dudes. Ethan Groff was also 3 for 3 with 2 runs and an RBI for the lefties in that victory. Well, Victoria was idle last night, so with Wenatchee falling in its game to Walla Walla, the Apple Sox now a full game back of the Harbor Cats in the North Division standings. Wenatchee got help from Kelowna last night by knocking off the Pippins, so Yakima Valley remains a game and a half back of Wenatchee. Port Angeles also at the 500 mark as we wind our way through the West Coast League season. Well, Seattle won the rubber match of the 3-game series with the Rangers yesterday, winning it 5-3 at T-Mobile Park. Daniel Vogelbach led the way with 2 solo home runs off of left-handed starter Mike Minor. Now, Vogelbach before the game only had 2 of his 25 home runs off of lefties. He worked in the bullpen and, well, not in the bullpen, but in the batting cage off of a left-handed wheeling pitching machine, and that helped him. He cranked 2 home runs off a lefty yesterday. On the mound, Mike Leake was impressive once again, getting the victory to improve to 9-8 on the season. He went 7 innings, allowed 3 runs, 9 hits, 7 strikeouts. Roenis Elias worked the 9th for his 13th save of the season, getting 2 groundouts and a flyout in the 3 batters he faced. Mariners now welcome Detroit into town for the first of 4 games tonight, 7:10 start time. Drew Verhagen goes for the Tigers. Mariners have yet to announce whom they'll start in that one. Also in the American League West last night, back to the Les Schwab scoreboard we go. George Springer and Jose Altuve each hit homers in Houston's 4-2 win over Oakland. Justin Verlander improved to 13-4 with the win on the mound, going 6 1/3, allowing 1 run on 2 hits with 11 strikeouts. Cole Calhoun, a one-man wrecking crew for the Angels, going 3 for 4 with a home run and a double to lead his team past the Dodgers 3-2 the final in that one. Also, good news for anglers and great news for the town of Brewster. The Department of Fish and Wildlife announced yesterday afternoon the Brewster Pool will be open just in time for the Brewster Salmon Derby. Fish and Wildlife yesterday afternoon announced that the fishing for summer Chinook salmon would open next Thursday, August 1st, from the Highway 173 bridge at Brewster upstream to the Highway 17 bridge near Bridgeport. The Brewster Salmon Derby has been on the books to run next weekend, August 2nd through the 4th. Up to $20,000 in prize money is available for participants, that is. You can go to brewstersalmonderby.com for more information. Anglers asked, by the way, with that opener to release any sockeye caught, and only hatchery Chinook are allowed to keep. Limit is 6 fish per day, 2 of those being summer adult Chinook salmon, but just in time for the Brewster Salmon Derby. The fishery opens on the Brewster Pool, so that's good news, and that'll take some pressure off of Chelan Falls and the lower part of the river that has been open here for a couple of weeks now, with that opening between Rocky Reach Dam and Wells Dam on the Columbia. That's sports news at 27 minutes past the hour. Eric Granstrom with you here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, filling in for Dan Kuntz again. Sunny skies in our forecast today. The good news is no wind in the picture, with a high of 92 today. A little chilly start this morning at 57 downtown here in Wenatchee, outside our studios of the NCW Life Channel. Again, Steve Hare is on location this morning, getting the latest fire information in a briefing earlier at the Arundel School with that Type 3 incident management team in place for the Desert Canyon fire. They came in and took over last night. Looks like winds calmed down and fire activity was very minimal overnight last night, but we'll get a report coming up later on our Facebook page as well as our website, and of course more in our newscast tonight coming up with Grant Olson at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. All right, let's get to our day of the day. It is National Culinarians Day. So if you cook, today is your day. Megan, I forgot to ask you before we started here. Megan McPherson back there behind the buttons this morning again. I don't know how much you cook, but what is the best thing that you cook? Dessert. Oh, you're baking. Well, that's okay. You're messing around the kitchen, throwing flour in the air, things like that. So that's good. I think if you ask my wife what the best thing is I cook, it would be a steak on the grill. I think she would probably say a steak on the grill. But whatever you prefer to throw on some heat or boil in some water or nuke in the microwave, today is your day. It's National Culinarians Day, or just Cooks Day. And remember, don't have too many cooks in the kitchen. All right, let's take a look at today in history, July 25th. It was on this date in 1941. American automaker Henry Ford decided to sit down at his desk in Dearborn, Michigan, and write a letter to Gandhi. He apparently was very impressed with Gandhi at the time. Letter effusively praises Gandhi for his campaign of civil disobedience aimed at forcing the British colonial government out of India. But on this date, 1941, Henry Ford wrote Gandhi. It was on this date in 1965. Boy, this was a big earth-shattering thing for pop music fans of the day. Bob Dylan went electric at the Newport Folk Festival, performing a rock and roll set publicly for the first time, while a chorus of shouts and boos rained down from the audience because they're like, what are you doing? What's this electrical thing you got around your neck and hanging there, and what's happening? And it was very confusing for the fans. In fact, the organizers of the Newport Festival didn't know that he was going to come out on stage and plug in and play. And it did not go over very well. But then, of course, Bob Dylan is Bob Dylan. And he overcame that. He actually said in his memoirs later that he wasn't prepared for the reception he would receive when Bob Dylan, decided to go electric on this date in 1965. It was on this date in 1992, Olympic time in Barcelona. The 25th Olympiad held in Spain. Barcelona Olympics were the first ever which professionals were allowed to participate. This was the year of the Dream Team with, who did we have? Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, and others joining Christian Laettner, the only collegiate, I think, that was on that Dream Team at the time. Of course, they went on to win the gold medal. Barcelona Olympics opening ceremonies on this date in 1992. Celebrating birthdays today. You probably don't know her, and she didn't get credit until after the guys involved won the Nobel Prize. But you should know her. Her name is Rosalind Franklin. She was born on this date in 1920. A chemist and molecular biologist, she co-discovered the structure for DNA. Pretty important discovery. Her work formed the basis for James Watson and Francis Crick and Maurice Wilkins' famous DNA model. They got the Nobel Prize in 1962. She didn't get credit until later. She ended up passing away at the age of 37 in 1958, but born on this date. Very important girl power. There you go. Rosalind Franklin in 1920. He was born on this date in 1954. Who could forget sweetness? Walter Payton played 13 seasons with the Chicago Bears in the NFL. He rushed for 275 yards in a single game in 1977, surpassed Jim Brown's career rushing record in 1984, scored his 107th rushing touchdown, which was a record at the time of the NFL in 1987. Walter Payton, born on this date in 1954, died way too early in 1999 at the age of 45 with bile duct cancer. And we do have a living celebrity having a birthday today, Matt LeBlanc. Joey Tribbiano from Friends. He is 52 today. So happy birthday to Matt. And happy birthday to you and happy anniversary if you have one going on this 25th of July. I know there's a lot of anniversary celebrated because, summertime, wedding times, good weather time. So happy birthday, happy anniversary. If it is yours, you can let us know about your birthdays and anniversaries too. You can email us news@ncwlife.com or just reach out to us through Facebook. Let us know and we'll pass it along here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 32 minutes past the hour. Jerry Anderson is coming up, a guest here in studio to talk about the upcoming high school football season and the officials that are needed. He's with the Chelan County Football Officials Association, so we'll talk to Jerry coming up. Also this morning, Mike Magnotti with his opinion, but before we get there, we have to go here and kennel cameos with our own Megan McPherson. She introduces us to, what is it? Radar. Radar, the cat. Take a look.
Hey guys, Megan here with the NCW Life channel. We're here with Renee Parkins, the Development Officer of the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society, and joining us this week is Radar the cat.
Yeah, so Radar came to us as a stray. He was actually picked up animal care and control and hit by a car. So he had a broken back leg. So he went to foster care while he healed up, and it is definitely not keeping him down. He's healed completely. Right now his kennel has a little lock on it because he must have been a cat burglar in his previous life because he does know how to open the doors. So we've had to put a little carabiner on, but he is a sweet, sweet boy.
Yeah.
Like he just, you've heard him, he's purring when we're just standing here, and he's a great boy who's looking for a home.
And what kind of home is he looking for?
He's a really outgoing guy, so I think he'll probably do well in almost any circumstances.
And if someone's interested in adopting him, what should they do?
They can just come down to the shelter, go into one of our get acquainted rooms, make sure he's the right cat for them, and then he is fixed and ready to go. So he's vaccinated, microchipped, and altered.
And how are you guys doing on space here?
So we're really full. It's raining cats and dogs, so to speak. So right now with our kittens, it's adopt one, get a second at half the adoption fee. Dogs 6 months and older are 50% off adoption fees right now. And bunnies are also 50% off adoption fees. So it's a great time to add a furry friend to your family.
The Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is located at 1474 South Wenatchee Avenue and is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Give them a call at 509-662-9577 or visit their website at wenatcheehumane.org. This has been Kennel Cameos at the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society.
Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing, located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
Welcome to Boswell's Home Furnishings. Come in and explore their expansive 2-story showroom at your leisure. You'll find comfort and inspiration for every room in your home. Boswell's has been filling customer furniture needs for decades, from contemporary to the classics, for living room, dining room, and bedroom sets. Purchase in-store or create your own unique style. With Boswell's complimentary design service, your vision is their passion. Where would you like to start?
Transform your windows with a variety of colors and styles like the Allure Transitional Window Covering by Lafayette Interior Fashions. Hi, this is Darren with Mini Blinds and More. We can install the latest and greatest in technology to open and close your blinds with only a touch of a button. From the largest windows in your home to room darkening shades for the bedroom. From stylish shades for your entertainment room to custom blinds for those hard-to-fit places. We have a solution for all of your window covering needs. We offer a variety of window coverings from Lafayette Interior Fashions. Call us today. We are Mini Blinds and More, your local blind store.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, as a mental health professional, I sometimes deal with clients and the stress and angst that's caused by their finances. Now, some folks are working themselves to the bone to not really build their business, but to make their business bigger and more financially successful. Now, I always ask these people, what are you really working for? Now, being a financial success is fine. Money is a great thing. But if it becomes only a goal in itself and not the tool it's supposed to be, all some people are working for is gain, not for a life of fulfillment. You know, sometimes Rosie and I just go out for an expensive dinner or take a weekend out of town without worrying about what we're spending. And we look at each other and say this in a meaningful way together, this is what we're working for. Now, that's the truth. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
At Doghouse Motorsports, we ride what we sell. There's a lot we could say about the CD Spark and the CD GTI, but ultimately, the ride says it all.
Thanks for joining us here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley for this Thursday, 25th of July, 2019. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz. Now, Dan usually does this interview, but I think it's more appropriate that I do this interview with Jerry Anderson with the Chelan County Football Officials Association. Jerry and I go way back to Lions Club back in the day, and I think that's when you first started talking to me about officiating.
Well, we worked together in radio,
we
too.
We did, yeah, that's true, too. We did, yeah, we're going way back.
Holy cow.
Oh, man, we're getting old.
Yeah, but I'm retired and you're not.
I know. And you see what this guy's driving in the parking lot right now, for goodness sakes. He's retired well. I had fun at your expense, which, we do that with each other anyway. But we were broadcasting a game that you were doing the back judge for last year, and I said, and Jerry Anderson, I was announcing the officials, and I said, Jerry Anderson, back judge, he's been officiating football here in the Wenatchee Valley for 162 years.
Seems like it some games, believe me.
How many years has it been?
This will be my 39th year this fall.
So are you ever going to retire, or?
My goal...
Not that I'm asking you to leave.
No. My goal is 2 more years. I'd like to make it to an even 40, and I have a grandson that'll be a 7th grader then, and he really wants Papa to do one of his football games.
Oh,
so
how fun.
I'm going to do that, and then... the mind is still willing, but chasing 17-year-olds takes a toll on you after a while.
And they're faster than they used to be.
Truly spoken. Holy cow. Yeah.
Now, Jerry and I go back on officiating football as well, because he talked me into it, and I think I was doing radio at the time, and I thought, well, this would be kind of fun. And it was fun. It was a kick in the pants, and it was a chance for me, and I know we've talked about this in the past too, to get around high school football again. I've been broadcasting high school football for years, but played high school football, loved high school football, and to get out there on a Friday night standing on the field with the band playing the anthem, the flag whipping in the background, I mean, you cannot not get chills.
That's right.
And
That's right.
To be part of that, again, from the officiating standpoint, was so much fun.
Yeah, no, it's a great time. I've met so many terrific young people, and periodically you run into them on the street. I remember you, Mr. Anderson, and it's always good. That's always rewarding too.
That's the first time I've had somebody call me Mr. Granstrom, was when it was a situation not on the football field, but I think it was one of the Kashmir linebackers came up to me and says, "Hey, Mr. Granstrom, thanks for doing our games."
Yeah.
I went, who? Where?
Yeah.
Is my dad here somewhere?
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
But the Chelan County Football Officials Association has been in existence for a long time here in the Wenatchee Valley. Right. Great organization. I think I'm trying to do the math there. I think I officiated for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So until I blew my calf out doing a game, playoff game, quarterfinal game in Moses Lake at Larson Field there, and that was the end for me. But that's just a me thing. That's not a you thing. And I know the challenge always is to find new blood and get them out there and put the stripes on and throw a flag and blow a whistle.
Yeah, it's and it's not just a local issue. This is a national issue. I read about it constantly. We have a national publication, Referee Magazine, and it's a problem all across the country. And it's all sports. That we're just not attracting enough guys, gals. We have a lady official in our association that does a great job. Mm-hmm. We just don't have enough people coming in and then staying in. If we can get them for 2 or 3 years, we usually have them for several years after that. But those first 2 or 3 years can be a little tough on them. You got the fans ragging on them and sometimes a coach and that stuff. But once hopefully we get them for 2 or 3 years. Nationally, it's a problem. We locally can only handle so many games on a Friday night. Right now, that number is 4. And we got the schools who have started working together in their scheduling, so some of our games are going to be on Thursday night and some on Saturday. And the whole season, we got 4 games every Friday night. Mm-hmm. So, but what I see as the problem, and a lot of other people who have been around officiating like I have for a while, is if we don't start finding people that want to, basically you're giving your time, I mean, you get paid a stipend, but it doesn't cover the time that you put in on it. If we don't find more people that are willing to come out and do this, and I mean in all sports, whether it's volleyball or track or whatever, there's not going to be any school sports. You got to have officials out there. Like when I sign all my emails, it always says without officials, it's just recess, and that's what it could end up being.
Well, we don't want that.
No,
definitely
no, because I'm a big believer in team sports. It's a part of education.
we kind of joked back in the day, it's not so much a joke anymore, that when you come in as a new official, you should be required to bring 3 new guys in by the next year.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're doing on that success rate, but it does sound like you guys were able to get some new blood out for this season anyway.
Yeah, it looks like we got 4, maybe 5 new people that want to at least give it a try and come out. And if we can hang on to the 3 or 4 we had last year, it just keeps improving. On the other hand, we picked up a new school this year that we've got to handle too.
Yeah.
We'll be going out and doing the Elmira Cooley Heartline games, which I'm looking forward to. They got a terrific program.
How many
out there.
time defending state champs?
Yeah.
Right.
And I've done a game out there a few years ago, and it was really, the people are nice.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned Elmira Cooley Heartline. See if I can rattle off the schools. Of course, Wenatchee, Eastmont are schools that you guys officiate for.
Right.
And we'll talk about how that works. And the Chelan County officials are actually hired by the districts to do the games, right?
That's
in a manner of speaking.
That's yes. The schools are required to use an officials association for that area. They can, if they talk to the WIA and the WOA, they can, like Elmira Cooley Heartline did, were dissatisfied with the service they were getting from another association and came to us. But basically, that's it. We cover all the schools in Chelan and Douglas County.
Right. Which, to say it's the Chelan County Officials Football Officials Association is kind of a misnomer because it is
true.
Chelan, Douglas. So Cashmere, Cascade, Chelan, Manson, Entiat, Waterville. I think I got them all right.
And Mansfield if they field a team.
If they field a team.
Usually that's a sub-varsity
Mansfield,
game,
combined.
Yep.
And now Elmira Cooley Heartline. So kind of draw the picture, I think people think of Friday night varsity, but there's more than that, right?
Well, yeah, because we do 7th grade, 8th grade, freshman, JV. We do all of those. Plus, the people out of our association also work the Pop Warner games on Saturdays, too.
Mm-hmm.
So those are especially good training ground for the younger officials to get their feet wet.
So is it still a case where you got to pay out of pocket to get because you just don't show up in your gym shorts and a pair of tennis shoes. You got to have, the stripes. And now, thank God, we've gone away from the white knickers.
Yes.
And we have the black pants. But to get all that gear, it's not cheap to do that. So how does that work nowadays with the Chelan County Football Officials?
Rookie package, not including shoes, is a little over $200. And we always suggest the guys go find a inexpensive pair of black field shoes. So if they end up not liking it, they don't have a couple of $100 into a pair of Reeboks or something.
Right.
If the guys are in a situation they come out and they don't have the $200 to shell out, we'll get their uniform in and we'll just take it out of their pay at the end of the season.
Okay, that works well.
Oh yeah.
So it's hard to believe we're July and we're already talking about high school football, but it does start for you guys next week.
Next Tuesday is our first meeting. Yeah, what we like to do is to cover the entire rule book in our meetings before the first game of the season, which this year, fortunately, is a week later. In our book, a week later, it's a Friday after Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time we walk on the field, the 6th of September, the guys that are working that game will probably have 12 to 15 hours of classroom time in.
Let's talk about that real quickly here because, and we get into trouble with this because of sometimes coaches, a lot of times fans, they watch football on Saturday and Sunday and they assume that means the rules are all the same for Friday night and for the prep side, and that's not the case. And there are a ton of rules to know about, and they're changing all the time, right?
We have rule changes every year. There are a lot of rules to know. Coaches, especially head coaches, now have to study the rules and they have to take a test similar to what we take. And so most of them, the good ones especially, they know the rules pretty well. It's, your average fan, back in my day, my leather helmet worked just fine. And well, it's not quite that bad, but, they want to officiate from the sidelines because they've got the best seat in the house.
Right.
Well, you learn to
you and I have talked about that too. Sometimes the stands is the best place to see because on the field you're so close to it, you could be shielded off by two bodies and not see what everybody else is seeing, and it is a difficult thing to do.
What a lot of fans don't understand is that when you're an official on the field, you've got an area that you look at. And if you're really good at your job, you don't look anywhere else. And you got to concentrate on areas. And I've seen a ton of situations where I'm looking at, maybe I work an umpire, which is the guy that's in the defensive backfield right behind the line. And I got to watch from tackle to tackle. And I just concentrate. Like, well, somebody out here picks off a receiver going out for a pass. And, well, no, why didn't you call that,
Right,
you know?
right.
Because not my job.
Right. No, exactly. Let's talk about that. So you have the referee, or the white hat, as we call it. He's kind of the head referee.
He's
for
the crew chief,
the crew
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's out there. You've got the umpire, who you mentioned is the guy kind of around the linebackers in
Right.
the defensive backfield. You've got the side judge and the line judge. Right?
Head linesman and line judge, right?
Okay. One guy is in charge of the chain gang, basically.
Basically, that's his job. Yeah.
Okay. And they're taking care of the outside portions of the field and pass plays and things like that.
They got the receiver responsibilities and wide runs to their side.
Mhm.
Right.
And then you've got, now with a 5-man mechanics, as they call it, a back judge.
Yep.
And what's the back judge's job?
Back judge's basic job is deep receivers. If a long run they bust loose and they're headed down to the end zone, you got an old guy like me, we already got a 20-yard head start, so we're supposed to keep in front of them. And we got, in that case, the carrier responsibility and the blocking going on around him.
And the back judge is also keeping a watch on the time.
Right. We got timing responsibilities this year. You want to go into that
Yeah,
now?
let's talk about that. That was a nice lead into some
Yeah.
changes this year.
Yeah, we got, this is the only real major change in rules. And in my experience, the years I've been doing this, almost every rule that we've ever changed has been for safety.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one is not. It's actually to speed up the game and in the interest of fairness. And we're going to the college and pro rule, where once a play is done, the runner, the ball carrier is down, the whistle blows, the covering official raises his hand in the air, and that starts a 40-second clock. And then from that point, the offense is going to have 40 seconds to get their next play off. Previously, the ball would be dead, and we'd have to get it into the umpire. He had to spot it, and then the referee would do what we call chop in the time. He'd blow his whistle, and they had 25 seconds. Well, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong in that case. Trying to get a ball in, get it spotted, and especially at the end of a period when people are trying to run a hurry-up offense, for example, it can be very unfair to one team or another. This new rule with 40 seconds, the time starts, and we got to get the ball in, get it spotted, so the offensive team can get the playoff.
Which is a good note for youngsters. The teams will start practicing here mid-August for the high schools here locally. They are in search of ball boys or ball girls, as the case may be, because that is crucial, really, to get the ball, to be able to spot it, to get the play going.
Right. If you got a long incomplete pass, somebody has to run down and get it. I think the schools are going to be a lot more diligent. They haven't in the past. They've seen no reason to get a ball back into play. Now there's going to be a reason to have a second or third ball on the sideline and have ball boy or girl to get it into us.
So any other rule changes this year, or big ones?
Nothing significant. One we were talking about before we started here. This year in 11-man football, the rule in the past has been you got to have 7 on the line and 4 in the backfield. Now you can have 6 in the line and no more than 4 in the backfield. But this is to allow, and the example I used, in 8-man football, the same rule is going to apply. Last year we had an 8-man game up at Entiat. They were playing one of the schools, it escapes me now, from up in the Colville area. And they only brought 8 kids. That's all they had. And kid got hurt. Couldn't really function out there. But to take him off the field, they would have had to forfeit the game because they didn't have enough players. So they just planted him out like a wide receiver, and he took a knee, and he just sat there for half a dozen plays till he got.
And nobody hit him, so
everybody laid off him. The kid should have been on the sideline getting some attention.
Right.
So now they'll be able to do that. They'll be able to play a man short, and the kid can go to the sideline and get the attention he needs. And
Jerry, if we have folks that are out there watching that have thought about it, maybe they know somebody in the association right now, and thought, that'd be kind of fun and be nice to give back, to be involved in something like that, and also to help offset this whole shortage that we
Right.
have, and so that we don't have game cancellations or anything like that. Because I mean, the kids are out there working hard and practicing all week long, and the reward is playing a game.
Yeah.
But if you don't have officials, you can't play the game.
That's right.
So how do we get a hold of the association to find out? And even though the meetings start next week, I know for a fact that you'll take people in throughout the month of August before the season starts.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you can go online to the WOA's website. Just Google WOA, Washington Officials Association, or give me a call, 670-2800, and I'll hook you up with our assigner and get you the information you need. And like you say, we meet once a week from now until the 1st of September, and then we go to kind of an every other week schedule.
Well, I'll tell you what, and the great thing about, and I give you a bad time, but the great thing about having seasoned veterans like this guy here, the association is sprinkled with guys that have been around doing it for a long time.
Yeah, we got 2 of us now that have been there almost 40 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. The great part is you can sponge off of these guys and get all the information. I mean, there's one thing about reading the book, getting the rules, things like that, but there's another thing about the game within the game as far as the officiating side of it, that until you're out there, until you're got guys flying around and everything else, and that ball, and that's the hardest thing as an official, is because you're a fan too.
Oh yeah.
You want to watch the ball, but that's not your job.
Yeah, and the seasoned veterans, the old guys like me, we don't just work Friday nights. We work the 7th grade games. I really enjoy doing 7th grade games. The kids are fun to start with, but the opportunity to teach the new guys and the officials that are coming up the techniques and where you ought to be and that stuff is really a great time for me.
So go online, search WOA. It's Washington Officials Association. Your phone number one more time?
670-2800.
My friend, always good to see
Hey,
you.
thanks a lot for
Jerry
the time.
Anderson joining us here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley for this Thursday. We'll come back and wrap up the show right after this.
The Cottage Inn has been a Wenatchee Valley landmark since 1940, making it one of the longest-running locally owned restaurants around. And it's better than ever. Steak, seafood, and their famous homemade desserts for dinner, wonderful lunch items, and breakfast on Sundays, all made from scratch and at an affordable price. It's no wonder the Cottage Inn has been so popular for over 75 years. Enjoy a fabulous meal today at the Cottage Inn on Easy Street in Old Station. Family roles change with time. You may find yourself being an unpaid caregiver to a loved one. Caregiving can be rewarding, but also stressful. Taking care of yourself is vital. Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington has low or no cost services for unpaid caregivers, such as in-home support, care supplies, and counseling. Connect in your local area by calling Aging and Adult Care at 800-572-4459 and mention you're interested in caregiver support.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate for pita.
Definitely the espresso shakes. My favorite is the mocha for pitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Thanks once again to Jerry Anderson for joining us here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley for this Thursday, 25th of July, 2019. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz. Again, we're keeping a close eye on what's happening with the Desert Canyon fire. Thankfully, the fire looks like, and as you see with this image here from our camera across the river from the fire that's burning up in the hills above Desert Canyon and in the Browns Canyon Road area, fire activity was relatively quiet last night. We'll get a complete update with Steve Hare a little bit later on as he was out at the Rondo School earlier this morning with the Type 3 incident management team that has taken over the fire with state mobilization in place. They brought in some handline crews and some more strike teams were expected to arrive this morning to be able to get a hang on this fire and hopefully squash it before the winds return Friday night and into Saturday. So that's the latest on the fire situation, latest on the acreage estimate, about 1,000 acres as the estimate also was about 100 firefighters on the scene yesterday. A combination of Department of Natural Resources, the Bureau of Land Management, the U.S. Forest Service, and Douglas County Districts 1 and 4, all working as a team to get that fire under control yesterday. Winds certainly caused some havoc with the firefighting effort yesterday afternoon. But again, more on the Desert Canyon fire coming up. The forecast is looking really good for firefighters today. Sunny, hot, and really no wind in the forecast. 92 are expected high today. Now the hot temperatures and lower humidities. However, humidity at the airport right now, 55% this morning. So that's good news as well. But knock on wood that the winds stay down today as well. 92 are expected high. Tonight we'll see clear skies, lows down to 64. Tomorrow really hot with a high of 98. And then the winds come in by tomorrow night, and it will be windy on Saturday. The winds gusting up to 26 miles an hour on Friday night, and winds out of the west 14 to 20 on Saturday. So again, crossing our fingers, hoping that the firefighters stay healthy and safe today, and also that the winds stay down for the foreseeable future so they can get a handle on the Desert Canyon fire. Coming up tomorrow, Kyle the intern will be my guest. We don't know what he's going to say or what will happen, so be sure and tune in for that for a Finally Friday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Thank you for joining us this morning, and don't forget your latest local news coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 with Grant Olson on the Evening News. Have a great Thursday.